Welcome to Wine Soundtrack USA. Listen to the passion with which producers narrate their winery and their world. In 30 answers, discover their stories, personalities, and passions.
Hello, friends and listeners of Wine Soundtrack. This is Allison Levine, and today I am in the tasting room of Camins to Dreams in the Lompoc Wine Ghetto in the San Ynez Valley. I'm with Tara Gomez and Mireia Taribó, the owners, winemakers, the wonderful couple who make this wine. And I don't know who I'm going to point this to, but Tara or Mireia, tell us, what's Camins to Dreams?
So Camins to Dreams translates to Path to Our Dreams in Mireia's Catalan language. And our project started in 2017. Both of us have been always dreamt of wanting to have our own winery. So yes, in 2017, we finally decided to put both feet in and move forward with that and create our own brand.
Wow. And what is your total case production and what are you making?
Right now we're making around 1,500 cases, mostly focusing on Gruner Veltliner and Syrah from Santa Rita Hills. Here in the western edge of Santa Barbara County, and then we get also a little bit of Gamay, a little bit of Carignan, a little bit of Grenache, a little bit of Albarino, some Rosé, a little bit of Pernat. Yeah, so Graciano, all really small amounts and vineyard designated, so really focusing on the vineyards.
Ooh, lots of fun grapes. And you don't own any vineyards, you're just sourcing everything?
No, we are just sourcing. I mean, that's another dream, the next dream of ours, to one day have our own vineyard and live off the land. I mean, that's our goal. But for right now, we're just sourcing.
And where are your wines available? Are they 100% direct to consumer? Are they in different markets?
We are in different markets. We have a big part that is direct to consumer through our tasting room in Lompoc and our wine club and online sales. We sell to 40 different states in the United States, but we also have distribution. We have distribution in California, in New York, in Massachusetts, Minnesota, and a little bit in Ontario.
Wow. I'm so excited for you guys. Such a little brand that could. Okay, so Mireia, Tara, you're from two different worlds. I'm wondering, what are each of yours first memory relevant to wine?
Mine, I don't think I have really a first memory. I'm from Spain, and I was born and raised in Barcelona, but my dad is from a little village really close to the Pyrenees, and there everybody has a cellar with wine and a few vines to make wine at home. So I've always seen wine on the table, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I don't know, as back as I can go.
You have no memory of not wine.
Definitely. But if I have to choose a memory, I just when I was really a kid, just foot stomping grapes from the vineyard that we had at home to make wine. We would make a barrel a year, so it was nothing big or nothing like that. But I remember going to pick the grapes with my family and just bringing them home and foot stomping them and throwing everything to one barrel. And a few months later, there was wine.
For me, it was the memories of my parents who used to go wine tasting when we were really young, and back then we used to go along with them, and we used to do the tours. And so for me, stepping into the cellar, that memory still floats in my mind, because the certain aromatics of it kind of takes me back to those childhood memories of stepping into the cellar. And for me, walking by the lab and seeing them in their white lab coats and doing titrations, I mean, that was the instant connection, because growing up, it's I always used to play with chemistry sets and had my first microscope when I was 4 years old, because I love looking at nature through a microscope. And so it was that science connection for me that really kind of blew my mind, and I knew that was probably going to be my calling, my direction that I wanted to go, because it was actually in elementary school, grade school, that I said that this was what I wanted to do. So it was at such a very early age. Yes.
Wow. So since then you've been able to enjoy a lot of great wines. You make great wines. I'm wondering if there was one wine that you can think of that was one of those aha moment wines, one of those pivotal moments because of the situation, the grape, the place, the producer, the food. I don't know.
Yeah, so it wasn't really much for me, an aha moment, but it was more of the memory, and it was the location. We were actually in Rias Baixas, so Albarino, tasting through a bunch of Albarinos, and we were in this pretty decent restaurant having lunch, and the chef came out, and I mean the food was just super amazing, and it was just sitting there next to the sea, and having, you know, this food made by this really nice chef, and then of course the wine, and I distinctly remember the label. It was Sin Palabras, and that's exactly the moment what I felt like without words, because it was just truly a nice experience, and I mean the wine was good too, but it was just everything combined as one, as an experience.
And for me, I would say also not a aha moment on like, oh, this is the wine that made me turn into winemaking or nothing like that. I was actually already probably in my 30s. But we were one day at home with my parents, my friends, and my mom had just cooked some foie at home and some caramelized onions. And a friend of mine is just like, oh, let me go to my cellar. I have like the perfect bottle. And he pulls out a bottle of Chateau d'Yquem that I had never tasted before. And I was like, all right, life cannot be better than this. That was like, wow, this wine is good. And it just perfect with the food, the moment, and so yeah.
That perfect synergy. Like my mom's just whipping up some foie, and my neighbor ran and grabbed some Yquem, so you know.
So crazy.
I know, that's crazy to hear.
It just literally happened like that. So I'm like, all right.
Well, not that often you hear stories like that.
So if we were to come to your home, what kind of wines would we find in there? What do you have in your cellar, if you have a cellar? I mean, is it all your wines? Is it a smattering from where?
We have a lot of international wines, more so, I would say.
I was going to say, like, we have here, obviously we have a winery, so we store a lot of wine there. And then we have, in Spain, in my house, we have an underground cellar. So when we travel, we kind of like try to save all the wine there on the underground cellar. And then every year when we go, we bring wine back, and a lot of European wine, and obviously Santa Barbara County wine, a lot of it.
For European, are there particular regions that you really focus on, or is it a nice smattering of?
Well, I think every year that we go to Spain, we focus on a different region, and so this past year, it was Ribera Sacra, so we're gonna have a lot of Mencia in our cellar, and that we brought back as well, because that was from our last trip. But yeah, I mean, just a little bit of everything, from Spain, from France, from Germany. I mean,
So is there anything that you opened up recently that drank really well?
Everything.
I would say, I mean, like I said, going back to the Mencia, like we had a Mencia not too long ago, from Ribera Sacra, and so I would say that. I mean, it just, everything about Ribera Sacra is still such a fresh memory in my mind, because just it's so labor intensive. I mean, the degree of slope to be called Ribera Sacra is like a 30% or a 30 degree slope and minimum, and so that's pretty insane. And everything there is done by hand. So props to them.
Well, speaking of, challenging to make wine, grapes, you're both winemakers. I'm curious, do you think there's a such thing as a perfect variety?
I don't think so. I think there's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, each variety thrives in a different area, microclimate, soil. I think there's a lot of great varieties. I don't know. To me, I don't think I want to choose one. I don't think there's a perfect variety. And obviously, there's varieties that I like to make more than other ones. But I think if you find a good location and good microclimate, there's always a variety that can thrive there. So,
yeah. Good answer.
I agree. Well, obviously you're not striving for perfection. You're striving for the best thing you can make, but perfection is not the thing. But a lot of people are driven by perfection. They look at scores and things like that. So I'm curious what your opinion is on wine critics and scores.
I think
Tara cringes, no, maybe answer that.
I think it's really subjective, and when you cannot have objectivity, even though you're a great taster, it depends a lot of your mood. It depends a lot of what you had for breakfast. It depends if you taste blind or not, and it's really subjective. I mean, to me, if you have 100 points or 90 plus points or whatever, of course the wine is gonna be good. Is it better than one that has 89? I don't know. Right. I mean, but I think but I think it helps people, people that doesn't know much about a wine. If I have 100 points from, I don't know, from Parker, or I have it from Jesse Robinson, the style is super different. But it could help people knowing, what style it is, or what's the level of quality on that wine. Right. So.
Yeah.
But not subjective from the person that tastes in the moment, and
I agree, very subjective.
So I'm going to see if you guys are on the same page or a different page. This is a quick answer. Try to answer at the same time. Red, white, or rosé?
Red.
Still or sparkling?
Sparkling.
Oh, you're a perfect couple.
I don't know about sparkling red, but
so as wine drinkers, I mean, obviously you drink everything, but you're saying your preferences lean towards red or sparkling if you have the choice. How do you approach food and wine pairing? I mean, obviously, when you have foie on a Little League Chem, you understand what works. And sitting there and having that Albarino, and I'm guessing you were eating seafood and other dishes. So we know what beautiful synergy in wine is, but I'm curious how you approach it at home or when you go out. Do you follow rules? Are there things you look for, or do you take a come what may attitude? Do you focus on the wine? Do you focus on the food? I mean, how do you approach it?
I think we're really open always to taste different things, and we definitely not follow the rule at all of white with fish and red with meat. That doesn't work in our house. Mm-hmm. But we always look for wines that are fresh and crisp and that have bright acidity, because for us are easier to pair with food. So even when we make the wines or when we purchase wine in restaurant, if we don't know the wine and I ask the sommelier, hey, recommend something, that would be always recommend something that's bright and fresh and a little bit lighter style to pair with food.
Yeah, we don't really necessarily go to more of the bigger, bolder wines. Just tend to get tired a little bit faster, and we want to be able to enjoy maybe many more glasses. So that's why we look for the freshness of it.
So when you've had too many glasses, any tips for avoiding that hangover?
Sleep and drink water.
Hydrate.
So for somebody who hasn't had the pleasure to taste Camins to Dreams, what do you think they're missing out on?
Ooh. Well, they're missing out on some nice quality wine. No, but really, our wines are very food friendly. Our thought also too is to make wine specifically that could pair with a wide variety of different foods. Fresh, crisp, complex.
That really showcase the region where they come from, right? So we have here in Santa Barbara County all this food scene and everything. We were just at the Santa Barbara Culinary Experience in one of the events, and it's true, our wines are meant to pair with food. Minimal intervention and just really trying to showcase each vineyard and the variety by itself, and just trying to be as true as we can to the variety in the vineyard.
And really, too, focusing on, regenerative, organic, biodynamic vineyards, aligning ourselves with those type of vineyards, and really just trying to break away from the whole thing of conventional farming, because, me personally, we care so much for the land, so we want to be able to preserve that.
Mm-hmm. So if space aliens were to land here at the Lompoc Wine Ghetto and knock on your door, which of your wines would you want to welcome them with, to say, this is Camins to Dreams?
I think probably a Gruner. Yeah,
I was going to say a Syrah.
I mean, it's our
Both.
it's our.
It's good when you're not exactly on the same page with everything.
But I would just say I was just saying Gruner because it's a little bit more of a rare variety here in Santa Rita Hills, even though there's still more planted and every day more. Like it's a little bit more rare than Syrah still. But Syrah and Gruner are our two main wines. We make 3 different Syrahs, 3 different Gruners every year. So.
And focusing on cool climate Syrahs. And that's one thing about Syrah, though, is just like there's so many different ways of making a Syrah. That's what makes Syrah so special, I think. You could be in the warmer climate regions and be really ripe and jammy. Or you could be on the opposite side of the spectrum, which is where we are in Santa Rita Hills, which is just really fresh and bright and complex, more cool climate. And so yeah, that's what we love. We love Northern Rhone.
So going back to, you were saying that you align yourself with growers who are organic, regenerative, people you care about the earth. So I'm sure you spend time in the vineyards visiting where you're sourcing the fruit. And I'm curious if there are any sort of signs or predictors that you're looking for that are going to tell you what a vintage is going to be.
More than, it's difficult to know what a vintage is going to be always. It can change from one day to another one, but I don't think it's just like going to a vineyard and see how the vintage is going to be. It's more like through the months, see how the climate it's been and how the growing region it's been in general. Like this year we know that's going to be a later vintage because it's been so cool and so rainy at the beginning of the year, and they're gonna probably also have more fruit in the vine, so that's great. For us, like I like late seasons because it means that things ripen slower, and I love that. It's slow and steady, and more here in Santa Rita Hills where the acidity retains really good. So I love those kind of vintages more than when we get like all the heat that we had last year.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, when you say heat and the cold, you've been in this valley. Tara, you've been here how long?
Quite a while.
And Mireia, you came here. You've been in this valley for how long?
9 years now.
9 years. So we know that every vintage tells a different story, but how much variation do you see year to year reflected in the wines? Are you seeing great variation? Do you see more commonalities? What have you found in your experience here?
It kind of just varies on each vintage in terms of like the weather and everything, but for the most part, I see a lot of commonality.
There's a lot of similarities. Obviously, you're in the same wine region every year, but it's true that the little bit more warmer, cooler rain, and it's more like during the months of harvest that can change a lot things. But that's also why we need to learn how to adjust and then try to make a wine that it's like different because it's a different vintage, but also that people can recognize as the same wine. So we need to adjust of like picking a little bit earlier, like macerating more or less.
And I think that's what I love the most about winemaking is that it's no set recipe. You got to be constantly on your toes and thinking forward in terms of like, okay, predicting of how it's going to be when the time comes to pick, because you only get one shot at it. And it's not like you could, pick and then, oh wait, I wasn't ready, I'm going to go put it back on the vine. No, you can't do that. And so for me personally, that's just what I really love about winemaking is just that you're constantly having to think about what your next plan of action is going to be before it happens.
No, I think it's that constant moving forward, right? You can never look back because you can't undo. Yeah. So speaking of which, obviously there's a lot that you can sort of adjust to, picking early, waiting longer, more maceration, as you were saying. But do you ever have to talk to the grapes or talk to the wine in barrel? We're sitting here with all the barrels. Do you ever talk to it to kind of encourage it or reprimand it?
I'm constantly talking to it. for me personally, like that's just my connection to the land, my connection to the grapes. Like every time I go out there, I'm talking to the vines. I know it sounds kind of weird, but it's so true.
Mireia's like, I thought you were always talking to me.
No. And even here when I'm here and I'm topping, like yesterday I was talking to them like, you guys are almost ready to go to bottle now, and it's just
I talk more with the yeast during harvest because we do only wild yeast, and it's just like, come on, hurry up, multiply.
A lot of native yeast. But
See, it's true. People actually do talk to their wine.
yeah, definitely.
So, let's jump away from wine for a second. Tara, you said since you were a kid, you knew you wanted to be a winemaker.
Yes.
Mireia, what did you want to be when you were a little girl? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Everything and nothing. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a soccer player. I wanted to be an English teacher. Not a winemaker. Never crossed my mind of being a winemaker. But I don't think I knew that you needed to study to be a winemaker because we were, as I say, like everybody would have a barrel at home and everybody would, we would make it horrible. It was just like not good to drink, but yeah, no, I never thought about it, but I love chemistry. And then I decided to go to study chemistry and realized really early that I didn't want to be a chemist all my life, just in a lab or nothing like that. Because
I'm horrible in the lab.
Not horrible. I just break things because I move too much my hands.
As you can see, right? It's a European thing. I know. When you talk, it's...
So I wanted to do something that was still a lot of chemistry or really science based, but it was also a lot of outdoorsy. I'm super active. I like to be outdoors. I like to do different things every day. So, and I love wine. So then I was like, okay, well, let's study enology.
And when you guys are not working, how do you spend your free time? What do you like to do?
I like to go camping. We like to be outdoors. For me, it's always been connecting with nature. That's how I kind of de-stress or go fishing. Like I love fishing. But
hiking,
going
with our dogs and cat if she wants to come.
Just say camping in general. Just being outdoors, connecting with nature.
And, before you were obviously on the same page when you both said red wine and sparkling wine. I'm curious, for a romantic evening, what sort of wines would you open to kind of set the mood? Like, I wonder if it's the same.
I would say like sparkling first. Start with the sparkling, finish with the red.
That's very vague and generic.
Yeah.
Anything more specific? Like, is there...
I knew Tara would start with probably her Comtesse sparkling. That's her favorite. If you can get a hand of that one. But yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, not just any sparkling.
No, not just any sparkling. Yeah,
I love that one.
Does Mireia have a special wine the same way?
If I have to choose a sparkling, I would probably...
It could be anything.
Oh. I don't know. I'm not a favorite person. Like, I never like favorite color, favorite song, favorite wine. But there's a lot of wines that I like. But I would say, like, if I go for a sparkling, I would choose sparkling from Recaredo in Catalonia. And
Cava.
Not Cava anymore.
No?
They are Corpinat.
Oh.
So they got out of the Cava appellation. So they're Corpinat. It's a new appellation, but it's still like kind of like Cava, more aged.
So you both, you come from different worlds, Spain and the U.S. But even as kids, no matter what, we're always given advice. Teachers, family, parents, friends, mentors. People give us advice along our journeys. I'm wondering if there's some piece of advice someone gave you at any part of life that you live by, work by, anything.
I think for me, my parents taught me to believe in myself. And so I'm constantly always saying that in my mind when I'm like, having some struggling or having some tough times. It's just like, remember what they taught me, to believe in myself, to trust myself, trust my instincts. So yeah, I still say that in my head to this day.
I think for me it's also my parents, and for me they really put in my head that I had to work hard, and if I work hard I can do whatever I want. So yeah.
And if you could give a piece of advice to our listeners, what would you want to say to them? What would you want to share? Beyond believing in yourself and working hard.
Follow your dreams.
Yeah.
That you could achieve anything if you put the effort into it. There's
Don't
not.
let anybody tell you no, that
Yeah.
you cannot do it, because it's probably not true.
Well, here you guys are. You said your dream was to have a winery, and I mean, I know that you were the winemaker at Kita prior, and were you making wine here in the Valley or elsewhere prior?
I was making wine in Spain, and then when I moved here, the first 3 years I was just like still helping the winery in Spain with sales, mostly helping Terra with sales at Kita, and then until 2017 that we started this again. Yeah.
So you started this, which is it's your dream and your baby. I'm wondering, when you look back at your careers to date, what would you say is one of your proudest achievements so far? You're obviously on an upward swing, and so there's a lot more to come, but what would you say, looking back, is one of the proudest achievements?
I mean, I would say, to me, a start Camins to dreams. I'm super proud that we were able to start slowly, and now we're doing 1,400 cases and have a tasting room and survive a pandemic for now.
I would say the same thing. I mean, we're living out our dream right now, and like I said, it's been a dream since we were kids, and so to finally be able to do it, to me, is super amazing and a great achievement.
So complete this sentence for me. One of you is going to be quick and one of you is going to be really crafty, because a table without wine is like
A day without water.
Wow. Wait, say that?
beat that one. A table without wine is like I don't know if you can match a day without water.
Day without water. That was fast. That was good.
And there was no prep on that one. No. Okay, I have another one for you. We're sitting at a big table here right now, and your bottles of wine are all over the table, but there's an empty seat on either side of you. So I'm wondering, who from any walk of life, living or deceased, would you want to be sitting next to you sharing Camins to Dreams?
Oh.
Wow.
Jeez. My parents.
Well, you share your Camins to dreams with your parents every week.
It's just like,
It's got to be someone who hasn't had your wine. Living or deceased. They don't have to be deceased. Just
who hasn't had our wine? Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that is really tough.
You don't have to know them.
You don't have to know them.
No idea. I don't know.
Aspirationally want to drink your wine.
I would like everybody to drink our wine. I don't know. I mean, it could be anybody.
No, I don't know.
You got to stumbled on that one. Okay, I'll say Heidi Barrett, because she's always been somebody that I've always looked up to when I first started into the industry. So yeah, I would say her.
Famous winemaker. Doesn't have to be a winemaker.
Oof. I don't know. I would just say
Celebrity, musician, politician.
to be someone famous.
No.
Okay.
Could be anybody.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess anybody that really wants to learn about wine, I'm happy to share my wine with and explain with them. I don't know.
Not going to pull a great grandparent out, an Abraham Lincoln.
Not really. I don't know. No. I don't have anybody.
Everyone's welcome to come take that seat.
Happy to share with anybody and everybody.
Yep.
Well, we're coming towards the end. I've got a few more questions. So these are a little more kind of fun and playful. I'm curious, if you were being sent to a deserted island, you get to take 3 wines with you. With you two, you get 6, but 3 each. What 3 wines would you want to take with you?
Okay, I'm going to start. I would take. And can I keep reordering those three wines?
And you have plenty of ice, and you have chilling.
I'm gonna take Taleya, which is a Sauvignon Blanc from Spain, from the Pyrenees that I used to make. It's from Castel d'Encús winery. I would take Corroti Jamet for a red, and probably a Recarreda sparkling. Because bubbles have to be there. So.
Well, I'm not gonna name. I'll just name the varieties.
No, you can name names.
I can name.
You can name names.
I'm not good with names. I'm horrible with names. But I was just gonna say I would take an Albariño because I think of an island, and so I would definitely want to have an Albariño, maybe a sparkling rosé, and
Comte de Champagne.
And nice, and a Carignan. Yeah.
From domestically or internationally?
Probably internationally, maybe Languedoc area, or Languedoc. I would go Languedoc.
So, you think we're going to be making wine in 300 years, 500 years?
Yes.
We are not, but someone will.
Somebody definitely will. It's gonna live on forever.
I mean, if we do something to change the direction of the temperature in this planet, maybe. If not, I doubt that the vines are going to survive.
Well, at least you know the wines you're going to have.
Yeah.
And the way of farming.
Yeah.
So we play a little game at the end of our podcast always, which I didn't warn you guys about. So, but it's called Wine Soundtrack. You know, it's the soundtrack of our lives. We all know that music and wine tend to pair together. You talk to your wines. You didn't say you play music to it, but we do know that wine conjures up emotions, so does music. You don't have to get specific. You can give me a genre. You can give me an artist. You can give me a song. But based on some of your wines, which is a great way to describe them a little bit, but tell me what you would pair with it. So I want to start with your Gruner Veltliner. I know you make 3, so maybe pick one and where it's from and explain the wine and what song.
Wow, I'm horrible at music.
We can work together on this.
Okay, thank you.
Starting with our Gruner Veltliner, is that what you said?
Yeah. Which one? Fiddlesticks Vineyard?
Fiddlesticks Vineyard? Okay.
Yeah.
To start with. Okay. So now which song do you want to pair it with?
Fiddlesticks.
Well, so tell me about that wine. Just a little bit about it.
So it's from here, Santa Rita Hills, AVA, Fiddlesticks Vineyard. It's in Santa Rosa Road. And the way we make the wine is like we pick the grapes in 2 times. And normally the first time it's kind of like fresh, acid, crisp. Pick it like thinking of like sparkling, but we end up blending apart with the wine. And then the second part is food stomps. It has a little bit more of creaminess, a little bit more of a structure. So definitely a lot of stone fruit, a lot of minerality.
Terry, have you been thinking about music?
No, I'm like, I don't even know what music I would pair with it. Maybe something mainstream. I don't know, pop, mainstream.
Pop?
Yeah.
Pop rock?
We'll go pop.
Okay. Now, what about your Gamay? I'm a big fan of Gamay.
Gamay. Gamay is kind of like light and super peppery jalapeno style. So I would probably go with something like, I don't know, like some cumbia or something like this that, you know, it's not too fast, but still like energetic and yeah.
What about Carignan?
Ooh, Carignan. Love Carignan.
You said it. It's your variety.
Yeah. So I'll be a little bit more specific because it's just a song that came to my mind. Doubt by Mary J. Blige.
And why is that? Where's the Carignan from? And describe.
From Santa Ynez Vineyard out in Happy Canyon. It's just a variety that I've always wanted to make, but never had the opportunity to make 100% of as a variety. And so it's just a song that kind of reflects that, you know, you're doing it and be proud.
I love it. I mean, I want to end on that, but your other primary variety is Syrah, so we have to end with a Syrah.
Yes, of course.
We're going to end there with Syrah.
So Syrah could be a party.
It could be a party, definitely.
It seems to be a wine that we do share at a lot of parties.
Yeah.
So something a little bit more upbeat, maybe a little bit of R&B hip hop swag. I don't know.
Perfect. You did it. You survived. Yeah. So last question, two-parter. One is, what wine region in the world is at the top of your bucket list to explore?
What wine region?
Where do you want to go?
I want to go to Austria because I haven't been there yet.
Yeah, Austria. I mean, in general, Austria. I really want to go also to the Loire region that I've never been either.
Well, I know you go to Spain. You're about to head off to Spain, so you might need to do little jaunts. Long weekend getaways too.
We normally try to do that. Like we take a few days to different wine region every time we go. So.
Yeah, but this one's going to be a little bit more challenging because I got my family with us.
Yeah.
But yes, we love exploring, and that's one thing. It's just we're constantly learning, and then even though we're on vacation, it's always still centered around wine.
Absolutely. Well, for someone listening who wants to center their next vacation around wine and come up to the San Ynez Valley, how can they find you, and what can they do to taste your wines?
So come over to Lompoc and visit us at the wine ghetto here in Lompoc, and there's also like another 10 wineries around here, so it's a fun day.
What days are you open?
We're open Fridays through Sundays from 12 to 6. Yes.
And then otherwise they can go online?
They could go online, or we also do by appointment only during the week. If they happen to pop in during the week, give us a call. Go online, go to our website too. You can also purchase online.
Yeah.
Great. Well, Tara, Mireia, you guys have been great. You survived. Thank you both so much for joining us on Wine Soundtrack. I think it's time to go taste some wine.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it.
For having us. Let's do it.
Thanks for listening to a new episode of Wine Soundtrack USA. For details and updates, visit our website, winesoundtrack.com.